Parasaurolophus is one of the most iconic and well-known dinosaurs. I remember watching Prehistoric Park when I was a kid, and I loved every scene where the paras were on show. They were beautiful. I was hoping Nigel Marvin would secretly go back and rescue the herd shown in the last episode, but it wasn't meant to be. Whilst also being one of the most iconic dinosaurs in media, they are also one of the most disrespected dinosaurs in media. We can only hope Evrima is different in this regard, and in this video we will break down what Para was in Legacy, what we know of Para's potential prospects, and hopefully its future in Evrima and what I'd like for the playable. Because Parasaurolophus has the potential to be an absolute gem. In Legacy, Para was a pretty understated animal all things considered. It hit hard at times, being able to 3 to 4 shot allos, but due to its poor agility, it was left feeling clunky at best. Most of the time, it didn't really have the best time out against a lot of the more agile carnivores in Legacy, but to compensate it had a decent running speed at 34 km an hour and an okay amount of stamina to burn, but its stamina recovery rate was by far the worst in Legacy. At a staggering 4 minutes and 10 seconds, it had over double the wait time of Rex and Giga at 1 minute 40 seconds respectively. It was a survival dinosaur, so I'm not sure why that was. Fun fact actually, its stamina recovery rate is the exact same as current pteranodons in Evrima. And we all know how fun that is. On top of that, its blood regen was one of the worst in the game, leaving Para vulnerable to being bled out against almost anything. These two factors combined stopped Para from being a truly strong animal in Legacy. Surprisingly, an adult Para in Legacy was only 3.6 tons, which for those who are unaware, is 200 kg smaller than Maya is in Evrima. Bear in mind, this is the Walkeri subspecies, so 3.6 tons is pretty bang on. It's the 2% and the Cytocristatus subspecies that got really big. Evrima wise, we don't really know much about Para. We haven't seen much and we haven't heard much. All we have seen is that they were briefly shown in the Hope trailer. We have this old animation. These models were shown in the dev blog a few months ago. A few were also shown in a Dondi stream recently. And we also have these schools from a few years ago. Same with this beautiful art piece. And then we have its concept art. Oh, it's concept art. At first glance, its concept art isn't that bad. We see some social behaviour, some babies, defending itself against raptors. The problems I have only start to arise when we look a little bit closer. I believe Para is the only animal we see getting slaughtered in its own concept art. Couple that with past dev comments on why would an animal the size of a Para fight an animal the size of an allo, it left the community not feeling the best about Para. Even Maya and Gali, the two designated runaway animals, weren't shown being belittled in their own concept arts, so I do really hope Para isn't taken down the same path, and especially not given the Maya treatment. A short segue, Maiasaura on its initial release into the Horde test was pretty strong. It was incredibly fast and had great stamina, and also had great damage. It did end up getting a pretty heavy nerf damage wise, so it's still a good playable, but you have to be a pretty good player to PvP with it. Now it's in most situations a runaway animal. I'm not the biggest fan of that playstyle for an animal as big as Maya, but if you're good enough you can still put in the work, and running away is always an option. I believe this isn't what the devs should do with Para. Parasaurolophus should be a combat animal, starting with its weight. I'd personally make Para 6 tons. If you think that's too big, we can see it's relative in size to an Acro in its concept art, who is assumably going to be around the same weight. Plus, as far as parasaurs in general are concerned, this is still on the smaller size. Based on studies and findings within the last couple of years, Para 2% is suggested to have potentially surpassed 8 tons. Para Cytocristatus up to a potentially huge 15 tons. And then even Para Walkeri specimens could have potentially reached over 9 tons. Most of these estimates are based off skull, cheek and leg fragments, so the sizes may be off a little, but either way, Paras were big, intimidating animals, and that's what I believe every large herbivore in Evrima should be. Parasaurolophus will be a beautiful sight in Evrima, but it should also be an intimidating one for the majority of the carnivore roster. Recently, some people in Islecord told me a solo Para should choose to run away from a solo allo. Let's assume allo here is 2.8 tons, the Para is over double its size. It could just knock the allo over and stomp on its head. In a 2v1 in the allo's favour, I'd still edge the Para. In a 3v1, then the Para could be in some trouble. If Parasaurolophus was so underpowered to the point where solo allos could take them down easily, then you'd have an animal that's so underpowered it'd have to run from both carnivores larger than it and half its size, and you'd only leave the small tiers like Omniraptor and Hera that it can stand up to. It'd be ridiculous. If you want to play a Hadrosaur who's mainly urged to run away, we have Maya. If you want to play the more combat-based Hadrosaur, we have Para. The differentiation here is important, because Maya and Para are much closer in comparison than Diablo and Tricar. Because of that, the Ceratopsians can afford to be more similar. Specifically, I think Para should have similar combat to Maya, where it can knock things over, stomp them, kick them, and box them in the face when needed, but with a bit more spice. I would like Para to utilise its weight more when it fights, a bit like Shanti is shown to do, but we'll have to see. Alongside that, please, 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 can we have a disorientating scream for Para? Please, please, please. Think about how cool it could be. A pair of Acros rolls upon your herd, you scream in their faces, which either blurs their screen or violently shakes it, or both. Man, think how nasty that would be. To stop it from being spammable, just give it charges like Dryo has for its dodges. 2 or 3 per adult works fine. If not that, give it a small cooldown. As long as it either gives Para an opening to attack or an opening to escape, that's perfect. And for balance, it should probably be more potent against animals smaller than Para. It could still affect a Giga or Rex, but not to the point where they'd abandon a hunt. On another note, I'm really excited to hear Para's new sounds. I loved Para's sounds in Legacy. The deep tones helped give it the majestic vibe we all loved. Its F-Call for me was my favourite. I'll play it now for you. It's so good, it's so good! Let's collectively gather in prayer and hope Para's sounds in Evrima will be equally amazing. What that does to my ears, guys, legally I can't say, but it's something good. Talking about good, Para's skin selection in Legacy was very good. You'd see black Paras, sandy Paras, cheese Paras, blue, red, orange, yellow crested Paras, Paras of all colours. I really do hope in Evrima they give us some creative freedom when it comes to Para's colours. Unlike Maya, and seemingly like Trike. If you guys have watched this far, thank you so much. I hope you guys have a good day, a good night, a good morning, afternoon, evening, a good dinner, breakfast, all the meals that you have them. I hope your family are well, I hope you are well, I hope pets are well, love interest, everyone, friends, everyone. Because guys, I really do love this community, I really do, all the different aspects, every single person I've spoken to in this community directly, whether that's in my comment section, in my DMs, Discord, in YouTube videos, every single person I've spoken to directly has been an absolute gem. So every single person I've ever spoken to, every single person who's watched, liked, commented, I'm so thankful. I love every single one of you. And we're almost at 7,000 subscribers. In a million, I know it's cliche, but in a million years, I would not have expected to get near that. So guys, I'm gonna start crying, Thank you guys so much, man. And hopefully by the time this video releases, hopefully we have a little trike to play around with. And guys, I'm gonna be getting excited once more.